wear this stuff, it's not because Brian beats us that much. But I tend to wear a lot of jewelry, and it scratches the drum if I don't, because it's softwood. So welcome. Happy July 14th. They're still shooting off fireworks in my neighborhood. My dog curses them every day. So, as Susan said, wasn't that a great meditation? Right? Very good. And that last song Brian wrote, you wouldn't believe how many of these songs he writes himself. So, we're really blessed to have him. Good job, Brian. So, I've got 2 pairs of reading glasses. Maybe this pair will work. So, hi, I'm Tinker Marsh. We have some visitors here. Please don't be scared off. But you've been warned, so there you go. Bob asked me to speak again this year. What a great sign of intelligence. Until, as Susan mentioned, he's on a road trip with Reg and Paul out to the Pyramid House. So I bet we all wish we could be a fly on that wall. So, in preparation, we're collecting bail money for the boys. I'll start it off with, I'll start it off. Such a generous kid that I am. Okay. Yeah. 27 cents. And change. So are we enjoying summer? Okay, and it's so hot, crazy hot, right? Only mad dogs and, well, John would go out in the noonday sun. But we do, we're going to have fun today, but we do want to keep in our hearts people with earthquakes and tornadoes and flooding and just, that's the real focus of why we're here. But Bob said I can't do stand-up, but like I said last year, he's not here. So by the time he gets back, oops, sorry, Bob. Okay. So, deal or no deal, Howie Mandel's not here. You don't win money, and I don't have any dirt on Meghan Markle to give you. She was on that show. She was a briefcase holder. So, Bob liked my first title, Road Trips from Hell. But I decided to go with deal or no deal. I have had some road trips from hell and some different deals, so I'll share some of those with you today. And I'll start with a business example. Ann and I had some rings. I needed one repaired because this big old honkin' diamond was going to fall out, and it's a family ring, and I wanted to wear it. And her wedding ring was getting too loose because we're very skinny now. Why are you laughing? So I went to one jeweler about my ring, and they said, we can't fix it. I said, can't you put some, things to hold the diamond in? Nope. All we can do is take the diamond out and maybe put it in a necklace or something like that for you. But she gave it back to me in an envelope. Don't wear it. So I went to another jeweler, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll build up the thing around it, and you'll be good to go. So picked them up. Great. Ann's looking down about 4 days later, and she sees one of the big sapphires in her ring is gone. And you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach. And she was just devastated because it was a really kind of a special, obviously, but rare to find sapphires that nice blue. So we did the thing that we're supposed to do. We prayed about it. So I like when that happens and you remember who and what you are and where the power is. So we just prayed about it, and then we went back down to the store, and we ended up dealing with the owner of the store, which sometimes is kind of rare, and he said, we're going to make this right. He said, I said, you're not going to be able to find a sapphire. He goes, I may even have some in stock. So, God and luck, nothing can beat you then. So we'll see. We haven't gotten them back yet. But, just doing that little few minutes of prayer and praying for the outcome, that kind of stuff, that's what we can use on some of these deals. So, it wasn't an earth-changing situation, but there were a lot of emotions involved. And just because it's emotions doesn't mean it's any less important, okay? Commercials, deal or no deal. You hear the guy say, yeah, I wanted to do this. Do you know a contractor? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, I know several. Well, can you get me a couple quotes and check their background? And blah, blah, blah. No one's going to do all that for you. I'd like to see no, I wouldn't. But it's just kind of crazy. But those are things that it's wise for us to do before we get involved in, especially the financial type deals. It's smart to compare. Better Business Bureau reviews, that sort of thing. I took a box to the UPS store one time. I'd made a little fun box for one of my nieces. And the guy says, okay, it'll be $47. And I was like, what? I didn't put $47 worth of junk in there. And he's like, well, I said, man, I should go to the post office. He goes, they're going to charge you $9 more. And he was very confident about that. I'm like, 50, oh my goodness. But I just didn't feel right about it. So I left and I went to the post office anyway. $25. That guy lied to me. I was so hurt and I wanted to go back there, but I didn't. But you just gotta, there are people out there that will try to take advantage of you. So that getting your little angels on your side works. So we've learned to pre-pray before you prepay. Not a bad idea. Made that one up myself. Even in happy events like a wedding, there is a lot of stress. And some people, they even have a show of Bridezilla and Groomzilla. And it's just like it should be happy and relaxing, but there's so many things to consider that, do your homework, give yourself time, and there is stress related to that. So what I thought we'd do today, Bob likes to do his steps. So I wanted to take the letters of the word deal and come up with some factors that you should think about when you're getting into situations, relationships, transactions, whatever it may be. So the first letter is D. And so here are some of these factors. Decisions and how to make them. I'm an impulse buyer, not always a good thing. But my therapist is retail therapy. If I buy something, it makes me feel better. Not really smart, especially at 1 a.m. when you're on the internet. My $20 iWatch hasn't come in yet. And sometimes you won't get stuff and then you feel, oh man, I should have known better not to do it, okay? So deliberate. Define the problem. And if you can get more and more specific, the more specific you can be, the better chances you will have of finding things that you can do. If it's just a great big problem, hone in on what you want your focus to be. What's your desired outcome? Sometimes you don't even know. Well, I want everything to go smoothly. Again, too general. Try to hone in on it. Don't panic. Okay, some people just fly right off the handle and they get worried. And again, our focus, we're taken care of. Even though I've had some crazy things happen, I'm still here, I'm still vertical. It's all good. Double check. Feel that divine guidance. Document. Whew. If you have a mortgage, man, you have to go in there and sign all this stuff. And, I try to read the contract. I'm not good at finances, okay? I just kind of get, that deer in the headlights, it's their job. They should be putting the correct stuff in the contract. So I pretended like I was reading it and yeah. And I said, so one friend told me, worry about points. Ask them about points. You shouldn't have to pay points. It's like, okay. So I said, I don't want to pay points. And the guy's like, oh, she's not as dumb as she looks. So he goes, oh, well, we'll take that out. We can get rid of that. So he came back a few days later. No, we went to the office a few days later to sign everything. And I'm reading just the wherefore and all this kind of gobbledygook, and it says points. I said, there's points in here. No, they're not. I said, look, it says right here, points to pay. He goes, oh, well, that's a different kind of points. With a big cheesy grin. I was like, no. So we actually pulled out of that deal, which was a big, huge, I mean, they got all the papers ready. They usually figure you'll be too embarrassed. And that company was one of the big ones implicated in that housing crash. They were playing fast and loose with our money. So if you get that little intuition, sometimes you need to listen to that. Now, sometimes you don't. We had a sprinkler system put in at our house, and Ann got a really good vibe off these guys, and we wanted to draw the water from the lake. Why buy city water to water the lawn? That's just silly. So we said, yep, just front yard, good. The guys were like, well, we're right here in the backyard anyway. Let's put them in the backyard too. We won't even charge you any extra. Well, we've got PVC on top of flower beds. We've got PVC sticking out here and there. They cut off the cable. They cut off my electricity. It was just, a nightmare. And they were nice guys, but I was calling saying, look, you got to come back out and tumbleweed. Never saw them again. And I don't think they meant to. They just were out of their depth and didn't know how to do that. So, yeah, you get that feeling, but, sometimes it may or may not pan out. So you want to have your homework and your deliberation to back you up. Back when I was an athletic trainer, documentation. If I had to say, take a football player out of the game, and the parents are like, so I'd have them come down to the fence when it was an appropriate time. I had my little mini recorder, and you can use your phone these days. And I'd say, okay, and all the info that goes on the accident report, the date, the time, it's his left knee. I'm speaking with his parents. And the parents say their names and their address, and this is what I want this kid to do. What it may be, go home and ice it. This is how you ice on, off this. It may be recommended to go to the emergency room for an x-ray. Whatever, I had it right there on my recorder. And sometimes it's a good idea to protect yourself that way, because miscommunication, are they picking up what you're putting down? Or are you hearing them correctly? Sometimes they tell you to repeat what a person is telling you to make sure you've got it right. So documenting what you're hearing, what you're reading, that sort of thing is a really good idea too. Discuss. Are you in a cooperative demeanor? I haven't gotten a ticket in ages, but boy, sometimes you get pulled over and somebody's in a bad mood. Usually it's us if we see the blue lights in our rearview mirror. But, people are just doing their jobs and getting angry and defensive right away. Sometimes that's not your best strategy. Okay. Keep your receipts, texts. I've still got that text or that screenshot where my watch should be coming any day now. As soon as it gets out of China. Okay, double check, don't panic. Listen for your divine guidance. It's there. Okay? Contact consumer groups before you write a review. I got a projector to use for teaching Zentangle, and it didn't work. And they're like, oh, well, this is what you do. And I tried everything. Didn't work. I bought a new cable. Didn't work. Driving me crazy. So well, send us a review, and in the meantime, we'll send you a free gift. No. So it ended up well. They ended up sending me a new projector, which was nice. But don't give them this great review, oh, they're so nice, until you're completely satisfied. Because they may put your review up on the internet, and you're like, ugh, they ended up being mean. Your due diligence. And do your diligence. And especially if you're in a financial deal, there actually is a proverb that covers this sort of thing. It's Proverbs 21:5. And it says, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. So sometimes you need to just take a breath, think about what you're doing, ask for guidance, and look at the situation maybe with fresh eyes. So do your homework, don't assume. Even great deals can be stressful. And don't undervalue yourself. If you're a service giver, sometimes we're like, well, for you, I'll make a special deal. Well, if you're depending on your money, don't undervalue yourself. You're worth it, and be confident in that. Debt, watch out for the hidden fees. As a lot of you know, I was working on a campaign for a buddy of mine that is now working on the Winter Park City Commission. And he was giving us examples. The library they're building is just a nightmare. The walls, instead of like this, go out like this, which takes a whole lot more physics and math and stuff to do. But he said, let me give you another example. He says, you go into your office and you see the pipes running along the ceiling. And the person will come in and say, well, I don't want those pipes to show. Oh, you want them covered up? Yeah, upcharge. So sometimes, people can pad their, income this way. I think I-4 is $47 million over budget so far, in maybe a year and a half. I'm sure it'll be great eventually, but, bring it in on time, bring it in on the budget. We're dreaming. Okay. So the next letter in deal is E. So examine your facts and put good energy into the situation. Try to release your ego. I gotta tell you, the classes that Ronnie and Paul teach are just wonderful. They give you so much stuff to think about. They probably think I'm not paying attention because I'm taking notes the whole time. But Paul and Ronnie talk about the ego and how we tend to, oh, you screwed up? Yes, I'm a bad person. I've done it again. And your ego isn't always your best buddy. Sometimes it just likes to beat you down. So when you get more inspiration and read more of the great books we have in the bookstore or talk with people in the congregation, we got a lot of really smart people here, and they will help you, okay? Use encouragement, empathy if appropriate. Be careful telling somebody I know just how you feel, because you don't, okay? What are the expenses? Did you get estimates? A lot of people will get 3 estimates before they'll make a decision. Does the person have experience doing this? My sister-in-law, God, she can do everything. She can hire people, she can do insurance, she can do mortgages and stuff. So she's got a lot of different areas, and it's not bad to seek out people. I don't do my own taxes. The year my mom died and all the money and here and property and this our family had to go through, hire somebody to do that. So make sure you're getting some good information from reliable people. Try to eliminate the negativity. Is there enjoyment? Hope so. Sometimes, a transaction can be really joyous. I bought a sailboat, drove down to get it, and these were the nicest people ever. They're like, oh, and here's an extra paddle, and here's a cushion. Oh, and here's an extra ball for your trailer hitch. Oh, and here's they were just so nice and such a pleasure to work with. They took $100 off the price too. So there are great deals that you can experience, and it makes you gives you that little extra spring in your step. Then I went to get a membership at one of these big gyms. And I, athletic person, I said, so how often, you wipe down the equipment every night, right? And they're like, no. I said, well, you check the cables and you don't use some kind of cleaner on the seats and stuff? They're like, you can bring a towel if you want to. That didn't thrill me a whole lot. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to think about it. Well, I went out to the car and drove home. Immediately, my phone's ringing. You took the contract with you. I'm like, yeah, I'm reading it. They're like, no, you got to bring that right back right now. They're not supposed to leave the premises. And so as I read it, if you're injured due to a fault of the equipment, we have no liability. If you're tough darts. So sometimes, even if you don't understand all this stuff, ask some good questions, okay? For a gym not to wipe everything down at the end, that's crazy. Okay. Your expectations, documents, we talked about that. They freaked out that I took that contract home. At my old house, I had a roofer, and I got the 3 estimates, and this guy seemed nice, and they did my roof, and they cut my cable, and they didn't crack my driveway, they crushed it into gravel. And I'm freaking out. I'm single. I'm living alone, having a house payment and everything on your own. It's just like, ugh. So the guy's like, okay, well, I said, you crushed my driveway. He goes, well, if you read your contract, it says damage to a driveway might be expected. Really? So he goes, so you need to give me the last payment? I said, no. It's going to cost me over $1,000 to lay this little patch of concrete. Might as well be gold. And he's like, no, little girl. I'll put a lien on your house. He really did call me little girl. I was just like, wow. He goes, I'm going to haul you into court and blah, blah, blah. I said, bring it. He was so mean, I was like, bring it. I wasn't going to be intimidated. Nothing ever came of it. But that's crazy. So sometimes they'll put stuff in there. So sometimes you need to extricate yourself from the relationship. I had a friend who taught me a lot about different things to do, but she was a toxic person. And I had to get out of that situation. And she's like, why don't you talk to me anymore? What's going on? What did I do? And I was just like, we're headed in different directions, so bye. And it felt kind of mean, but it was the best thing I wanted, that I needed to do. We had another guy come to the house, the window guy, right? And he's got I can see their ad now. It's an ad you would recognize. And they stand on their window. Our windows are so strong. Don't know who would stand on your window in a hurricane, but okay. So I came home. It was a long day at work, and this guy's there pulling out all his papers. I'm like, oh, didn't want to be there. And Ann's like, just relax, just listen. So I'm sitting there, not really masking my annoyance with this going on. And he finally gets to the part where, let me show you how great our windows are. And he steps on this stucker, and glass goes everywhere. Everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, those little square pieces. We behind the buffet, and we're sweeping all this junk. And obviously he didn't ask for our order. But I went out the next day in my car. He had dumped all that glass in our yard. I was like, dude, sometimes it's just like, whatever, move on. After first service, I was like, man, you got a lot of things that happen to you. A lot of good happens also. But sometimes you can learn from pitfalls, okay? Expert advice, if you don't understand the legalese, explain what you want. And sometimes you had to educate them, but do it in a nice way. No one likes to hear somebody be patronizing them, okay? And again, get the ego out of it. Experiences, I'm one of the few people in the world who got an oil change in 5 hours. What are they, mining it from Texas and shipping it over? And the guy's like, well, we didn't have an air filter, so I had to send a guy out. I was just like crazy. And sure enough, I go maybe 100 yards, and the check engine light comes right back on. So bought my car there, got a lot of work done there, never gone back. Okay. And there's different things, different debacles I've gone through. We had our deck rebuilt by my next door neighbor's cousin. You're laughing because you know where this is headed, right? He did a great job. He got stainless steel screws. Do you need them? I don't know. But this dock is going to be there long after we are all dead and buried. It looks like those things outside Omaha Beach, And he's all done, and we paid him a fair price. He goes, well, I'm done. I was like, wait a minute. The gazebo's not done. He goes, oh, I didn't plan to do that. I was like, it's leaning like this. Didn't you think we might want that redone? I said, that's the whole point. The shingles are falling off and stuff. He goes, well, that's not in what you paid me. So I ended up shelling out another $1,000 to have him do it, and he did a good job. But, family, friends, sometimes you're safer going a different direction. Okay, our third letter is A. It looks like we're right on time. Aim realistically. I love when I would hear my young high school kids say, but I've wanted this my whole life. You're 13. And you can't blame them. There's all these shows now. You can become a singer. You can record this, and you can do this and that. But I bet you any of our musicians will tell you sometimes you got to pay your dues. You got to get out, pound the sidewalks, whether you're looking for a job or whatever. Don't expect things to be handed to you. And if they are, thank you very much, because we know where our source really is. Okay? If you can dream it, you can do it. Maybe. I really want to play for the Magic. I've wanted it my whole life. Is it going to happen? No. So have a plan B. Okay? I'm not even going to make the soccer team. Okay, do the work, advance, appreciate, hone your skills. Sometimes you need assistance. It's never a sign of weakness to ask for help. Sometimes you need allies or accomplices. Somebody drive the getaway car. And analyze. The TV ads drive me crazy. You've seen the one, only $44 for internet, phone, and data. And they say only $44. And then in one slide of that commercial, you see $44 each when bundled. So you're not paying just $44 and skipping down the road. So you're on the phone and they're like, okay, so your first month's bill will be $100 and blah, blah, blah. You're like, wait, it's supposed to be $44. They're like, oh, no, if you watch the ad again, and that's kind of, they're in it to make money. So be careful when you're looking at ads. Oh, the coupon expired yesterday. Rain checks, But sometimes you get what you pay for. So be aware of that kind of stuff. And some people, you're on the phone, you've already called the guy, your cable's down, and a lot of times people just, okay, because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be made to feel foolish. So they'll go ahead and pay a higher rate. Can't tell you how many college kids will get a credit card in the mail. You're approved. Yeah, and we're going to own you for the rest of your life. I've known people that pay off one credit card with the other credit card. And I'm like, really? I'm not a genius, but that's not a good idea. Another 8 tip is avoid annoying others. Telemarketers, if any of y'all have to do that, God love you, but I hate it. I hate it. Is the man of the house home? He's in prison. He died. Or I'll say, speaking, and that freaks him out a little bit. But, they're trying to make a living too. And if that's your job, try something else, please. I just don't like being interrupted at home. We have Jehovah's Witness in my neighborhood like every other week. And they don't know what no solicitation means. One guy said, I said, did you see the sign? He's like, attack alligator? I'm like, that's the backyard. Did you see the sign right here? So, no solstice? I'm like, educate him nicely. No solicitations. So this Jehovah's Witness guy came, and I was, bored. I want to share Jesus with you. I said, awesome, come on in. And he stood there. I said, what's the matter? He said, no one's ever asked me in before. He didn't know what to do. Poor guy. Are there anger issues? Unfortunately, my role model is Donald Duck, and he has a few anger issues. But how are you going to feel afterwards? Did you take advantage of somebody? Did they take advantage of you? Did you get add-on costs that you weren't expecting? Agreeing isn't always losing. Well, yeah, I guess I do need the 2-year warranty. Sometimes, boy, you wish you had that. Sometimes, I didn't need to use it. And affirm with your faith. If you're here, you've got faith, especially if you showed up today and knew I was going to be up here. Your checks are in the mail, okay? But activate your angels. We've got all kinds of energy, spirits, family members, friends. You've got something heavy on your heart or even something cool you want to share. Look around you. We got this service. We got early service. There are awesome people in this church. You got chaplains that'll pray with you. Sometimes you have something that we may need to know to help us. So you're really in a great space here. And if that weren't true, I wouldn't be telling you that. This is an awesome place to be. So you're activating your angels. Okay. Oh, you guys, the band wrote me a little note. Look, they all signed it. Oh, you tell me good luck, way to go. That's so cool. Let's see what they're going to say. Oh, I didn't know that. Hurry up, we're starving. Really? So I better hurry up. Okay, our last letter is L, as in Lord have mercy. Is she done yet? Listen, listen, listen. We don't listen. Just like teachers, we don't read. How do I do this? Did you read it? No, I'm a teacher. Why would I read? Kind of crazy, but it's true. Miscommunication, I already said, is a very common problem. They have phrases like, do you want to be right or do you want to act in love? Sometimes we just want to be right, but we can be kind. Do you like the deal or is it a loser? Last chance, those marketing techniques, last chance. Limited time only. Spin the wheel and see what your discount is. And you'd be like, oh, so it's only 12% of my 50% off with a shipping charge. Sometimes those shipping charges, that's more than what you've bought. So be aware. If it sounds too good to be true, we all know it probably is. Caveat emptor, buyer beware. It's Latin, Roman, it's all Greek to me. I don't know. A couple people speak Greek. Okay. And sometimes you're out of your depth. I don't know a whole lot about cars. I'm very technical. Does the radio work and what's the mileage? Oh, and is it pretty? That's about all I know. Turn the key and it goes. But I watched some show on TV and they were saying, this was after Hurricane Katrina, and they were saying that all those cars that were underwater, they're not going to the junkyard. Sometimes they're going right onto a car lot. And they can spiff those things up so they look really good. But I had just found a car I really, really liked, and I felt kind of silly. But I got in there and I started moving the little carpet thing. There was rust everywhere. And he was like, oh, well, I can take a couple $100 off. No, dear. Or you can look up, these days you can look up if it's been in an accident or this or that. But you really need to, especially if you're spending a lot of money or you're spending a lot of time or energy, make sure to protect yourself. Because later you're like, oh, the hindsight 2020 thing. You want to go out of a deal with a good feeling about what's going on. Car rust, look it up, but again, the internet is not gospel. Just because somebody prints it doesn't mean that it's true. On the other hand, YouTube, you can get a lot of info on YouTube. You can pull up all kinds of things that show you how to do this or comparison shop this. I do woodworking, and I saw the ad for that little mini engraver. Love that thing. Yes, you can customize your wallet or wood or make presents or what. Only $50. I was like, wow, I want to do that. So I went on YouTube, and this guy's reviewing it. I'm like, yeah, that's the one I'm going to get. Show me how great. And he goes, you could lose the tip of your finger. You need to wear safety goggles when you're using a laser. And he did the same picture on it. It didn't come out very well at all. So I would have wasted $50. So you want to make sure, and there are some internet resources that really help you. Don't read, all the symptoms and decide that you're dying. You want to go to .md, .edu, sometimes .org to get real information. There are some sites out there that are legit. So getting a deal may be a win, may be a loss. Even a bad deal can give you lessons. So learn is your L word. And then home stretch, here we go. Don't forget to get all that big money out for the boys. So think about the factors of your situation. Sometimes compromise is reached through win-win. You give a little, then maybe they'll give a little. The best deals, relationships, whatever it is, sometimes compromise is the way to go. It doesn't have to be my way or the highway. If you feel good about it in your heart, then hopefully it's going to be a good deal for you. And if it turns out it wasn't, that happens. But we can learn from that and maybe be smarter the next time. Sometimes arguments are resolved by way of an inspired solution, something you hadn't even considered. My grandfather used to say, put on the whole armor of God. I love that. Not that you have to do battle, but it doesn't hurt to protect yourself with the big guy, with the angels, with your divine soul inside of you that just wants to please us and take care of us. So in these situations, we pray for brilliant answers in our deals, relationships, whatever the case may be. Sometimes the big deals aren't as special as the smaller ones. So thank you for coming.